I remember the protests. I remember the encampment starting. I saw it on the news a couple of times. I knew that, social media posts and things like that of what was happening there and what they were protesting and how they were protesting and setting up, building whatever encampment it was that they were building. At that time, there were numerous across not only this our state, but other states that were happening. And my frustration always is that school administration allows it and law enforcement allows it. And then when it gets out of hand and too far out of hand, then it makes for a spectacle on the news or on social media or anything like that. And unfortunately, meritless lawsuits like this just for publicity. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It's a gross injustice to our legal system, and they are 100% completely in the wrong. And everything that I have seen on TV, on social media, law enforcement played absolutely no negative part in this, other than they waited too long. I think it's very unfortunate that these things are happening because good people are taking advantage of. They are being taken advantage of. The school system and people who may have good intentions of allowing a protest and free speech, they don't want to stop something and then be called a racist, or they don't want to stop something and then say that you support genocide or all of those things because they're good people. And it's horrible, bad people who are taking advantage of that situation that are doing this. The majority of those protesters are being paid. The majority of the kids that are there are thinking that they're doing something worthwhile, or they're just going along with the program. And the good people are taken advantage of. The good students that are there that don't want it there, that don't want the attention, that don't want that on their campus, they are being absolutely ignored for a very, very, very small minority. And the unlawful actions of that very, very small minority are completely disrupting our school systems. And when I look at it, I see a complete lack of leadership. There is not a leader in that school because the leader is afraid of offending someone instead of doing the right thing. The leader is afraid of being called a name instead of going out and protecting the students that need protection. And if we had leaders that were more concerned with helping others than protecting themselves, then we wouldn't have these situations, because this is a common sense response. This is an easy law enforcement response that should happen immediately, not a week later. Law enforcement was responding to a legitimate concern, and those violent protesters turned violent against the police, and they were removed, as they should have been. Everyone witnessed what happened. This was not the fault of law enforcement. This was the 100% the fault of the protesters building an encampment that is illegal, and then when they had to be removed, resisting, and then having to be forcefully removed. If this is a legitimate court case or trial, a legitimate judge who is non-biased, and they are able to find a jury that actually would look at evidence instead of their hatred toward law enforcement, there is absolutely no way that these officers are found guilty. Law enforcement should be thanked for rescuing their school for the rest of the students that were there that were being terrorized and prevented from actually learning or going to class or enjoying their day at college. Well, I've been saying this all along. The absolute progressive left, socialist, communist, Marxist, whatever it is that you want to label them as, because they're a combination of all of it, for decades have used words to play on our emotions. Militaristic is a word that incites a type of a fear in a normal person that, oh my gosh, the military is coming in. It is a horrific miscarriage of our justice system that attorneys are allowed to do this. Law enforcement showed up to do a job. They were met with resistance, and with that resistance, we overcome that resistance with force. This was there's only one group of people at fault here, and that's the protesters who did what they did on that college campus. They are the only people at fault. It's not the cops, it's not the schools, other than I would blame the schools for allowing it to happen. But there is no part of law enforcement that did anything wrong in this entire encounter. It is completely the fault of the protesters. And now, like everything else, we have to blame someone else because we don't take responsibility for our own actions and for our own circumstances. This is a publicity stunt that attorneys are hoping to gain money in a settlement, and it is nothing more than that. I unfortunately believe that we will continue to have these incidents until the leaders stand up and say, we aren't doing this anymore.